March 14th, 1968, 11:42 a.m., somewhere over North Vietnam. Captain Daniel Reeves watches the right engine fire warning light come on. At first, it's just a flicker, a red pulse in the corner of his peripheral vision. Then it stays on. The J-79 turbojet on the starboard side of his F-4 Phantom II is bleeding fuel. 2 seconds later, the cockpit fills with the smell of burning insulation. 30 seconds ago, Reeves was leading a strike package against a rail depot outside Vinh. Now he is flying a $2.4 million aircraft that has just been mortally wounded by a Soviet-made SA-2 surface-to-air missile. The Phantom shudders. His radar intercept officer in the back seat, Lieutenant Mark Harlan, yells over the intercom, "Dan, we're on fire. Right side's gone." The F-4 is a beast. Twin engines, titanium skin, designed to survive damage that would tear lesser aircraft apart. But nothing survives when a 440-pound missile explodes 10 feet away at Mach 3. The SAM detonated just below the right intake. Shrapnel shredded the fuel line, ignited vaporized JP-4, and punched holes through the compressor blades. The engine is now a flaming air pump. Reeves pulls the fire handle. Halon discharges into the nacelle. The fire doesn't go out. Altitude, 18,000 feet. Airspeed, 540 knots. Location, deep inside North Vietnamese airspace. Reeves has been in combat for 114 missions. He knows the math. A burning jet over enemy territory has two possible outcomes. You die in the cockpit, or you die on the ground. He banks left, trying to coax what's left of the Phantom back toward the coast. The right engine explodes. The aircraft yaws violently. Alarms scream. The fire warning turns into a solid red bar across the panel. Harlan's voice is suddenly calm. "Dan, we gotta go." Reeves reaches for the ejection handle between his legs. The canopy blows. Wind tears into the cockpit like a hurricane. Eject! Eject! The seats fire with 20 Gs of acceleration. In less than a second, Reeves is no longer in an airplane. He is a human projectile being thrown into the stratosphere by explosives. The Phantom vanishes below him, a spiraling torch plunging into the jungle. At 9,000 feet, the parachute deploys. Silk snaps open. The sound of war disappears. All that remains is wind and the green infinity of Vietnam rising up to meet him. Captain Daniel Reeves drifts downward into enemy territory. He is alone. Daniel Reeves was born May 6, 1942, in Amarillo, Texas. His father flew B-29 bombers over Japan. His mother worked in an aircraft factory riveting aluminum skins onto fuselages she would never see fly. The war was over by the time he was 3, but aviation was in his blood before he could walk. At 14, he built a glider from scrap wood and lawnmower cables. At 17, he soloed in a Piper Cub. At 22, he was flying supersonic jets off aircraft carriers. By 1967, Reeves was a captain in the United States Air Force, flying the 433rd Tactical Fighter Squadron, the McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom II. The Phantom was not graceful. It was powerful. Twin J-79 engines producing 17,900 pounds of thrust each. Top speed, Mach 2.23. Service ceiling, 60,000 feet. Armament, Sparrow missiles, Sidewinders, bombs, rockets, and a centerline gun pod. It was built to fight MiGs over Southeast Asia and Soviet bombers over Europe. On March 14, 1968, it was assigned to destroy a railroad junction. It never made it home. Reeves hits the ground hard. The jungle canopy absorbs some of the impact, but not much.
Branches rip his flight suit. He slams into mud and roots and stops in a cloud of leaves. His left shoulder screams, but it's not broken. He gets up. The parachute is caught in the trees above him, a bright white flag in a sea of green. He knows what that means. North Vietnamese patrols will be here within minutes. He cuts the lines, stuffs what he can under brush, and runs. No radio, no map, 1.38 revolver with 6 rounds, a survival knife, a flare. The survival statistics are merciless. Downed pilots in North Vietnam have less than a 15% chance of evading capture. The rest end up in camps with names like Hoa Lo, the Hanoi Hilton. Reeves has no intention of becoming a prisoner. He moves east toward where he thinks the Laotian border might be. He moves at night. He hides during the day. On the second day, he hears trucks. On the third day, he sees soldiers. By the fourth day, hunger becomes a physical pain. He drinks from streams, eats leaves, chews bark. On the fifth day, he realizes something is wrong. The terrain is changing. The jungle is thinning. And in the distance, he hears something he never expected to hear again. Jet engines. Not American. Soviet-built Tumansky turbojets. MiGs. Reeves crawls to the edge of a ridgeline and looks down. Below him lies a North Vietnamese airbase. Concrete runways, camouflage netting, and under it, parked in revetments, are sleek silver shapes with red stars on their tails. MiG-21s. Soviet interceptors, the aircraft designed to kill phantoms. And one of them is sitting with its canopy open, fuel truck nearby, no guards in sight. Daniel Reeves doesn't think about surrender anymore. He thinks about flying.
The North Vietnamese airbase sits in a shallow valley, surrounded by trees and low hills. From above, it would be invisible. From the ground, it is a machine. Fuel, concrete, men, radar, and death. Daniel Reeves watches it for 3 hours. He sees trucks come and go. Mechanics refuel aircraft. A pair of MiG-21s take off in screaming pairs, silver needles ripping into the sky. Another pair lands. The one under the camouflage net does not move. Its nose points toward the runway. A ladder is still leaned against the cockpit. The fuel truck is gone. It is ready. Reeves understands what that means. Someone prepped that MiG for a mission and never came back to it. A single fighter, fueled, armed, waiting. A door in a locked room. He waits until night. At 02:17 a.m., the base goes quiet. The generators hum. A few guards walk their routes with rifles slung lazily over their shoulders. No one looks toward the revetment. Reeves moves. 100 meters of open ground. No cover. If anyone turns a flashlight in his direction, he will die. He runs anyway. Mud grabs his boots. His lungs burn. He reaches the MiG and presses his body against the cold metal of the fuselage. Red star. Cyrillic stencils. Soviet metal in the heart of Asia. He climbs. The cockpit is cramped. The seat is narrow. The instrument panel is a wall of alien symbols. But airplanes are airplanes. Stick in the center, throttle on the left, rudder pedals, airspeed, altimeter. He pulls the canopy closed. Now he has to make it fly. Reeves spends 40 minutes memorizing the panel. He traces fuel lines, finds switches. He recognizes the artificial horizon by its shape. He identifies the RPM gauge by how it's grouped with oil temperature and pressure. The start system is different. On the left console, he finds a switch labeled PUSK. He flips it. The MiG whines. The Tumansky R-11 turbojet begins to spool. A moment later, the engine catches. The aircraft shakes as 13,000 pounds of thrust come alive beneath him. Someone shouts. Lights move. Reeves pushes the throttle forward. The MiG rolls out of the revetment. A truck honks. A guard yells. The MiG is now on the taxiway. There is no turning back.
Reeves lines up with the runway. The base alarm begins to scream. He shoves the throttle to full afterburner. The MiG-21 surges forward, the acceleration violent and immediate. 120 knots, 140, 160. He pulls back. The fighter leaps into the night. Tracer fire arcs upward behind him. The MiG climbs into black sky. Daniel Reeves has just stolen a Soviet fighter from a North Vietnamese airbase. Now he has to get it home. He flies low, 50 feet above the jungle. At that altitude, radar cannot see him. At that speed, nothing on the ground can hit him. The MiG is faster than the Phantom ever was. Mach 1 at treetop level. The fuel gauge ticks downward. He estimates maybe 40 minutes of flight. If he can reach the Gulf of Tonkin, he might find American ships. If he can find American radar. If he can survive. 10 minutes into the flight, his warning light comes on. He is being tracked. A second later, his RWR lights up like a Christmas tree. MiGs. 2 of them. They are faster, they are higher, they are coming to kill him. Reeves climbs. The MiG screams upward through thin air. At 25,000 feet, contrails bloom. A silver dart flashes past his canopy. Missiles lock. Reeves rolls. A Soviet K-13 missile streaks past where he was a second earlier. He pulls hard. The MiG is a knife in the sky. He gets behind one of them. For a split second, a North Vietnamese pilot fills his gun sight. Reeves fires. The 23mm cannon shreds the other MiG. Fire. Debris. The second MiG disengages. Reeves dives. Towards the ocean. Towards home.
The Gulf of Tonkin appears beneath him like a sheet of black glass. Water. Open space. Freedom. Daniel Reeves levels the MiG at 5,000 feet and scans the horizon. Somewhere out there is the U.S. 7th Fleet. Carriers, radar pickets, rescue helicopters, friendly skies. But to them, he is still a Soviet-built interceptor with a red star on its wings. He is the enemy. Reeves climbs to 15,000 feet and does the one thing he knows American radar operators will notice. He turns directly toward the fleet. Within seconds, his warning receiver screams again. This time, it is not Vietnamese. It is American. F-4 Phantoms are coming. 2 of them appear off his left wing, gray shapes with shark mouths painted under their noses. They slide into formation, confused, cautious. The MiG is not firing. It is not running. It is flying straight and steady. Reeves rocks his wings. Nothing. He pops his air brakes. Nothing. Finally, he reaches for the one universal signal left. He lowers his landing gear. The Phantoms close in. One pilot finally sees the man in the cockpit. An American helmet. A U.S. oxygen mask. They escort him toward the carrier. USS Constellation. Reeves lines up. He has never landed a MiG before. He has never landed on a carrier in anything that wasn't a Phantom. But physics doesn't care about nationality. He comes in fast. Too fast. He slams down, misses the wire, slams the brakes. The MiG skids sideways. The nose collapses. The fighter slides to a stop 10 feet from the deck edge. Sailors rush forward, rifles raised. Fire trucks, officers screaming. The canopy opens. Daniel Reeves climbs out. "I'm Captain Reeves, United States Air Force," he says, "and that is a stolen MiG." No one believes him. Not at first. The story explodes through the Pacific Fleet. A downed Phantom pilot, 5 days behind enemy lines, a stolen Soviet interceptor. One confirmed MiG kill in a MiG. Reeves is interrogated for 2 weeks. Intelligence officers tear the aircraft apart. Engineers study every wire. Pilots sit in the cockpit and try to imagine what kind of man would steal an enemy fighter and fly it into a carrier deck. Daniel Reeves goes back to flying. He finishes the war with 176 combat missions. He never steals another airplane. He retires in 1984. When he dies, his obituary mentions medals, ranks, and wars. It does not mention the MiG. Some stories don't fit on headstones. But in March 1968, a man looked at a Soviet fighter sitting in an enemy airbase and saw not a threat, but a way home.